There are two developments that every Social Security recipient needs to know about right now, and surprisingly, many people have not heard the full story. One affects the long-term future of Social Security itself. The other could affect the size of future benefit increases. Both involve your retirement income, your financial planning, and the decisions you may make over the next several years. What makes this important is that these are not distant theories. These are issues that could directly affect the money arriving in your monthly Social Security check. And while many headlines mention parts of these stories, they often leave out the details that matter most to retirees. Today, we're going to break down exactly what is happening, what it means for you, and what you should be paying attention to moving forward. Let's start with the first development. A new Social Security Trustees report has brought renewed attention to a problem that has been building for years. According to the report, the projected depletion date for the Old Age and Survivors Insurance Trust Fund has moved closer. The current projection places depletion in the fourth quarter of 2032. That date matters because the trust fund helps support retirement benefits paid to millions of Americans. Now, before anyone panics, let's clarify something that is often misunderstood. When people hear the words trust fund depletion, they sometimes assume Social Security will disappear. That is not what the report says. Social Security is not expected to suddenly stop sending checks. Benefits would continue to be paid because payroll taxes would still be collected from workers across the country. The problem is that if lawmakers do not make changes before that date, incoming tax revenue alone would not be enough to cover all scheduled benefits. That is where the concern comes from. The projected result would be an automatic reduction in benefits. Current estimates suggest that benefits could be reduced by roughly 22% if no action is taken before the projected depletion date. Many seniors hear that number and think it sounds serious, but percentages can sometimes feel abstract. Let's translate that into real dollars. Suppose someone receives $500 per month from Social Security. A 22% reduction would mean losing approximately $330 every month. That is nearly $4,000 per year. For someone receiving $2,000 per month, the reduction could be around $440 monthly. That adds up to more than $5,000 annually. And for someone receiving $2,500 per month, the reduction could approach $550 every month. Over a year, that would represent thousands of dollars in lost income. This is why retirement experts continue to watch these reports closely. Even though 2032 may sound far away, retirement planning often requires years of preparation. Many seniors rely heavily on Social Security. For some households, it provides supplemental income. For others, it represents the majority of their monthly budget. And for a significant number of retirees, it is the primary source of income. That means even modest changes can have substantial consequences. What makes this development particularly interesting is the reason behind the revised projection. Many people assume that the acceleration occurred because benefits increased too much, or because more people retired than expected. The reality is more complicated. According to analysts, part of the shift involves changes connected to legislation that was intended to help retirees. At first glance, that sounds like positive news. A law designed to improve financial conditions for older Americans should strengthen retirement security. But there was a catch. Certain changes reduced the amount of revenue flowing into the trust fund. As a result, the trust fund's projected timeline moved forward. This creates one of the most important lessons retirees need to understand. Sometimes a policy can provide short-term benefits, while also creating long-term funding challenges. Both things can be true at the same time. That is why it is important to look beyond headlines. Many people see a policy announcement and assume the story ends there. In reality, the financial effects often continue for years. Now let's address the question that many viewers are probably asking. Should you be worried right now? The answer is no. There is no immediate action required because of this report. Your current Social Security benefits are not suddenly changing tomorrow. Your next payment is not being reduced because of this projection. The report is not announcing an immediate cut. Instead, it is highlighting a future challenge that policymakers will likely need to address. Historically, Congress has taken action when major Social Security deadlines approached. That does not guarantee future outcomes, but it does provide important context. Many experts believe lawmakers will eventually pursue changes designed to preserve benefits and stabilize funding. The exact solution remains uncertain. Different proposals have been discussed over the years. Some involve payroll taxes. Others involve retirement ages. Some focus on benefit formulas. Others combine several approaches. The important thing for retirees is understanding that this issue exists and recognizing why it matters. Knowledge helps you plan. Knowledge helps you avoid surprises. And knowledge helps you evaluate future announcements when they arrive. Most people do not follow trust fund reports. Many seniors never hear about them until a major news story appears. That is why understanding the timeline now can put you in a much stronger position later. Now let's turn to the second major development. At first glance, this one sounds like very good news, and in some ways it is. Analysts are projecting a potentially larger cost of living adjustment, commonly known as a COLA, than many retirees received previously. As inflation data continues to be monitored, some projections suggest that the next significant COLA increase could fall somewhere between approximately 3.8% and 4.7%. For retirees who have struggled with rising expenses, that sounds encouraging. After all, COLA increases are intended to help Social Security benefits keep pace with inflation. When prices rise, benefits are adjusted upward. That is the basic idea. And if projections hold, some retirees could see noticeably larger monthly increases than they have recently experienced. Let's look at what that could mean. If someone receives $1,500 per month, a 4% increase would add roughly $60 monthly. That is about $720 over the course of a year. Someone receiving $2,000 per month could see approximately $80 more each month. That amounts to nearly $1,000 annually. And for larger benefit amounts, the increase becomes even more significant. This is the kind of news that often generates optimistic headlines, and understandably so. Additional income can help offset higher costs. But this is where another important detail enters the conversation. There is a catch, and it is something many retirees overlook. The catch is that a benefit increase does not automatically mean your purchasing power improves. This is one of the most misunderstood aspects of COLA adjustments. Many people see a larger check and assume they are financially ahead. Sometimes that is true. Sometimes it is not. What really matters is not only how much your check increases. What matters is how much your expenses increase. Imagine your Social Security benefit rises by $80 per month. That sounds positive. But what if your grocery bill rises by $40 monthly? What if prescription costs rise? What if utility bills increase? What if homeowners' insurance premiums go up? What if rent rises? What if medical expenses continue climbing? Suddenly, that extra $80 may not stretch very far. In some cases, retirees discover that their higher benefit simply helps them keep up with rising costs rather than improving their financial situation. This is what many experts call the purchasing power gap. The number on the check increases, but the real-world value of that money may not increase at the same pace. This issue becomes especially important for seniors because retirement spending often differs from spending patterns among younger workers. Medical costs can play a much larger role. Prescription expenses may become more significant. Insurance premiums often rise. Long-term care concerns become more relevant. Housing expenses continue evolving. As a result, even when COLA adjustments occur, many retirees still feel financial pressure. They see larger deposits in their bank accounts, yet they continue noticing that everyday expenses consume more of their budgets. This is where many seniors become frustrated. They hear that benefits increased, but their personal experience does not always match the headlines. The reason is simple. Inflation affects different households differently. Two retirees receiving identical Social Security benefits may have very different financial experiences. One may own a home outright and have relatively stable expenses. Another may face rising rent, medical costs, and insurance premiums. The same COLA increase can feel very different depending on individual circumstances. This is why reviewing your own spending is so important. Many seniors focus exclusively on the benefit increase itself. Far fewer examine how their actual expenses changed during the same period. That comparison can reveal a lot. It can show whether your financial position is improving, staying level, or gradually becoming more difficult. Another factor worth paying attention to is how dependent retirees have become on Social Security. Recent surveys continue showing that a substantial percentage of retirees rely heavily on their monthly benefits. For many households, Social Security is not simply one income source among several. It is the foundation. It pays for housing. It helps cover food. It supports transportation. It contributes to healthcare costs. It keeps monthly budgets functioning. That reality makes every COLA announcement important. Even relatively small adjustments can influence financial stability. And when inflation remains elevated, the stakes become even higher. Many seniors miss this connection. They focus on the increase itself without considering the broader economic environment. But understanding both sides of the equation provides a clearer picture. The size of the increase matters. The cost of living matters. And the relationship between those two factors matters most. This brings us to an important practical takeaway. Whenever future COLA announcements are released, do not simply look at the percentage. Look at your own situation. Review your monthly expenses. Compare year-over-year costs. Check insurance premiums. Examine healthcare spending. Review utility bills. Look at grocery expenses. Pay attention to recurring charges that may have quietly increased. This process helps you determine whether your purchasing power is actually improving. And surprisingly, many retirees never perform this review. As a result, they sometimes underestimate how much inflation has affected their finances. Others discover opportunities to make adjustments before financial pressure becomes severe. The earlier you identify changes, the more options you typically have. Now let's bring both of today's developments together. At first, they may seem unrelated. One concerns a trust fund projection nearly 7 years away. The other involves future benefit increases connected to inflation. But both stories point toward the same underlying reality. Retirement planning is becoming increasingly important. The trust fund discussion reminds us that long-term Social Security funding remains a major national issue. The COLA discussion reminds us that even when benefits increase, inflation can continue challenging household budgets. One story focuses on the future structure of the program. The other focuses on the current value of the benefits retirees receive. Together, they provide a broader picture of the retirement landscape. The key point is not panic. The key point is preparation. There is no indication that current Social Security recipients need to take emergency action because of today's information. But there is a strong case for staying informed. Many seniors ignore policy developments until they become immediate problems. Others follow these developments early and gain a better understanding of what may be coming. Being informed gives you more time to evaluate your finances, more time to review retirement plans, more time to adjust budgets if necessary, more time to understand future policy discussions, and more time to avoid surprises. As we move forward, keep your attention on both of these issues. Watch for updates regarding Social Security funding. Pay attention to future COLA announcements. Monitor inflation trends. Review your expenses regularly. And remember that the number printed on your benefit statement is only part of the story. What matters most is how those benefits support your actual lifestyle and financial needs. The trust fund projection highlights a deadline that policymakers will continue discussing in the years ahead. The COLA projections highlight the ongoing challenge of protecting purchasing power in a changing economy. Both developments deserve your attention. Both could influence retirement planning decisions. And both remind us why staying informed remains one of the most valuable financial tools available to retirees. The most important thing you can do right now is understand the facts, avoid misinformation, and pay close attention to future updates that may affect your benefits, your budget, and your retirement security. Subscribe and share this with someone who may need this information.